Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Laranzo Temba and I am the spokesperson for the Police Ministry. Thank you so much for honoring our invite. We'd like to, of course, extend a word of welcome to our extended SAPS family that is watching us through the various live streams. But of course, to you, members of the media, thank you so much for joining us. As you know, the Minister of Police has presented the 2019-2020 National Crime Statistics to the Portfolio Committee on Police this morning. But of course, he will further shed some light on the statistics this morning with you as the press members. Let me just introduce, of course, we do have the Minister of Police, General Bheki Cele, who is sitting next to our Lieutenant General, General Sikokune, and of course, on his right, it is General Masemula. Let's just get things started, should we, Minister? Can we just hear from you regarding this crime stats that we're presenting? Please note, it is crime stats of the 2019 and 2020 period. Over to you, Minister.
Let me hear from the police. Am I not going to be arrested?
No.
Okay.
You can take it off.
Okay. Deputy Minister of the South African Police, he was in visual, wherever he is. All MECs visual that are in attendance, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee and members of the Portfolio Committee, National Commissioner of the South African Police, so to join us later here, Deputy National Commissioners, Provincial Commissioners and Divisional Commissioners, the Statistician General, Mr. Malulega, who has apologized, the Secretary of Police, Rapia, the CEO of SIRA, Mrs. Shem Shauga here, and the senior officers and the heads of all South African police entities. This morning, I addressed the nation for the third time since 2018 on the pertinent subject of the annual release of crime statistics. This talks directly to our service delivery agreement, ensuring that the people of South Africa are safe and feel safe. In 2016, Cabinet took a resolution for the quarterly release of crime statistics. It is on that score that the release of the annual crime statistics is released a month earlier in July, as opposed to the tradition of many years of releasing the statistics in September. Members of the media, going forward, the crime statistics will be released quarterly, and we certainly believe that the new approach will allow for timeous intervention measures aimed at crime reduction. The crime statistics are an important link in the value chain of the statistics system, which informs policy direction in the criminal justice system. The involvement of the Statistics South Africa further ensures the data integrity in the process. Fellow South Africans, the crime statistics for 2019-2020 reflects the slowing down of the increase in violent crimes. Indeed, we are not where we want to be. However, we are pleased with the improvement in most stubborn crime categories. In contact crimes, particular murder, we have recorded a trend of halving the case increase in the past 3 years. In 2017-2018, the case difference was 1,320. 2018-2019, the difference was 686. In 2019-2020, we have recorded a case difference of 303. Equally, on the 17 community reported crimes, we have recorded a noticeable decrease of 2.7 as compared to an increase of 0.7 last year. Another crime category worth mentioning is that of a stock theft, which recorded an increase in the past 3 years. Last year, we made a commitment to deploy intervention measures in this regard, which proved to be yielding positive results. Hence, stock theft has recorded a decrease of 4.2%. I always argue that the same resources that are deployed to fight aggravated robberies must equally be channeled to address stock theft, as this is regarded as a serious crime to rural areas. Well, there is always an argument here to say, if it is a cash heist, if it is a bank robbery, you deploy everybody, you deploy helicopters. When it is a stock theft, we are slacking. Whereas the wealth for those people that are in the rural areas having this stock, this cattle and all that, to them is enough wealth to be protected. Members of the media, another important category that has recorded a significant decrease is property-related crimes, where all crimes under the category indicated a major decrease, including burglary at the residential premises, which has declined by 6.7%. Furthermore, robbery at the residential properties has also recorded a decrease of 5.8%. The significant reduction in the crime of fear contributes positively towards police and community relations. When families feel safe in their homes, it builds and enhances confidence in the police and the justice system. Meanwhile, under subcategory aggravated robbery of a cash in transit recorded a decrease of 10.4%, and bank robberies declined by 100%. Well, there were 4 last year, and there was nothing this year. This 100%, it sounds big, but only just 4. During the period under review, there were no bank robberies in South Africa. However, in the same category, car hijacking and truck hijacking have recorded an increase of 13.3% and 1.7% respectively. Operational interventions have been deployed accordingly to address the growing increase. Fellow South Africans, this category of crime, this is sexual offences, has terrorized most households and communities, as most of these crimes happen behind closed doors and only publicized when the offense has been committed, and in most cases when victims of crime are no more. Awareness campaign of the gender-based violence and femicide must be intensified. Private sector and gender activist organizations must work together with the government to defeat the scourge of exposed perpetrators in this regard. It is of concern that educational institutions are becoming hotbeds for sexual violence. 380 cases of rape were reported at either school, universities, colleges, or day center facilities. Certain categories of sexual offences have recorded a decrease, while other categories are on the increase. Major General Skukun will elaborate more on this category when he gives a presentation. Cheers. Top 30 stations. Ladies and gentlemen, last year we made a commitment that there cannot be police stations that will be permanently in the top 30 if we are indeed serious about halving violent crime in the next decade. During the reporting period of 2019-2020, we have experienced significant improvement in about 12 stations which were stubborn over the past year. The dominating provinces in the top 30 stations, particularly in murder and rape, are KwaZulu-Natal, Gauteng, Eastern Cape, and Western Cape. Western Cape recent crime statistics also show us that specialized policing in targeting areas does produce results. The additional resources on the Operation Lockdown and Operation Thunder and anti-gang unit in Western Cape has decreased the murder rate and overall serious crime in the province. For the first time in many years, Nyanga Police Station has recorded a 36.0 decrease in murder. For the last 5 years, Nyanga has been the capital of murder, but this time, because of the specialized approach, Nyanga has decreased 36%. Even last year, there was a decrease. We are indeed turning the tide against crime, especially in that province. KwaZulu-Natal, unfortunately, the same cannot be said about my home province. Ladies and gentlemen, the province has recorded the highest number of murders out of all the 9 provinces, which increased by 10.6%. KZN also recorded an increase in sexual offences and trio crimes. Operational interventions are in place to stabilize KZN, including strengthening the resources under Operation Vala in KwaZulu-Natal. Policing and COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has drastically defined traditional policing. Social distancing is the new norm, effecting and arrest and deployment at the community service center certainly demands a different standard operating procedures. All men and women in blue in the Republic of South Africa collided with the drastic turn of events and had to immediately adjust while focused on the saving and protecting the nation. This invisible enemy is brutal and it is attacking everyone. In the call of duty during this pandemic, the SABC has lost a total number of 113 police officers, while 12,138 have contracted the virus, with 254 hospitalized and 4,904 recoveries. So, may you pass our condolences to the members that have perished on the line of duty. We'd like to pay our respect and salute the role of our departed members in the fight against crime. We also want to convey our sincere condolences in the families, their children, spouses, colleagues, and their friends. COVID-19 has really tempered severely with the spirit of Ubuntu. Today, we cannot bury our police members. Many of them could not be afforded the send-off they deserve, and this is very painful, ladies and gentlemen. But we will continue to soldier on and serve the nation. Lastly, on the subject, I would like to further encourage all men and women in blue to continue to serve and protect and hold the South African flag in the highest esteem. Members of the media, on another subject related to policing, allow me to take this opportunity and convey our full appreciation to Parliament and Portfolio Committee on Police of the finalization of the appointment of the Executive Director of the Independent Police Investigation, IPID. To this end, Ms. Jennifer Tikeleti has been appointed as Executive Director of IPID, and she is bringing much needed capacity, expertise, and skills in the environment. We trust that her appointment will bring about much stability and direction for the entity to conduct its work without fear or favor. Equally, I would like to thank the acting IPID Executive Director, Mr. Patrick Seteri, and previous acting IPID, Mr. Victor Sena, in the running the department with due diligence and for contributing positively to service delivery. Firearm amnesty. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, yesterday Parliament approved the new amnesty period, which is scheduled to commence on the 1st of August 2020. The proliferation of illegal firearms remains a major contributor to crime levels in the country. The 2019 firearms amnesty commenced on the 1st of December 2019 and was meant to run until the end of May 2020. Due to the COVID-19 outbreak, the amnesty period was severely affected and disturbed the SABC's ability to fully and effectively reduce the amount of illegal possessed firearm in circulation. In the previous amnesty period, 44,033 firearms and 246,000 rounds of ammunition were surrendered. Over 19,000 new applications of expired licenses were received. We will really, on this one, encourage those that they have expired licenses to use this opportunity, because we know that the court has finally decided to say those firearms that have expired licenses are illegal. But we hope that this space will be used to make sure that those guns are given their legalities too by getting the new licenses. We don't want confrontation on this, but if people don't follow the law, will have to be an action from the side of the police. Conclusion, ladies and gentlemen of the media, while While businesses, schools, places of worship, and many other public spaces were forced to close or scale down operations due to COVID-19, the same cannot be said for criminal syndicates, rapists, drug cartels, gangsters, hijackers, murderers, and burglars. Hence, the South African Police Service, throughout the pandemic and beyond, continues endeavor to safeguard the country as per our constitutional mandate. For that, I would like to thank the quick response of the police from Northern Cape after the murder of the elderly farm family that was brutally killed. We're very glad that police have acted and the 5 people have been arrested on that. Then the National Commissioner, but that there is General Skukune here. He will take us through to the actual figures that we have achieved going forward. So I will allow that General Skukune take all of us through on the actual and raw figures as we have worked on them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Indeed, Zizojiga izinto, turning the tide against crime. This, of course, has been the slogan for the police ministry, but also the South African Police Service for some time now. And of course, the statistics are showing that indeed there is light at the end of the tunnel. With that, can we just open the floor to some questions? We know that we have 3 forms of how journalists can send in through their questions. We have the SMS, or rather the WhatsApp line, as well as a telephone line. But of course, we do have members of the media that are here with us in this room. That is correct. Pardon me. Let us go to those figures. Pardon me, General. Of course, we have to look at these figures. Would you like to present from there? Okay, so we'll hand over to Lieutenant General Sikukune, who will take us through the figures of the day. This, of course, is the crime stats of 2019-2020. Over to you, General.
Good morning. Thanks, Minister. Thanks, General Masemola, and members of the media. I honestly would have preferred to present sitting there, but then I see that the moment I suggested that I present from a sitting position, this mic was being pointed at me, and I had to comply with the request. So the reason why I wanted to present there is that it becomes difficult holding such a big booklet and also be able to page through it and at the same time speak to it while standing. But I will do my best to make sure that I represent the numbers and explain as much detail as I can. Ladies and gentlemen, the figures that are being presented are the 2019-2020 financial year crime statistics that we have reported and that were reported by members of the community to the different police stations in the country. Ideally, I would prefer to call them police recorded crime statistics because those are the ones that are brought to the attention of the police. As the norm, we normally, the presentation is loaded. I was told that the technology has failed, but then I can see that from the screen it's visible. On the first slide, we normally start with what is called the 17 community reported crimes. These are the crimes that were reported by members of the media to the police. We break this table into 4 broad categories, which is called contact crimes, contact related, property related, and other serious crimes. Then we present these numbers over a 10-year period. Starting with the contact crimes, for the crime of murder, in the current Last year was revoked for referring to it as a current financial year. So if I say the current financial year, please keep it in mind that I'm referring to the 2019-2020. For MEDA, in 2018-19, we had 21,022 MEDAs. 2019-20, we had 21,325. That is an increase of 303 counts. Then for sexual offenses, we had in 2018-19 52,420. Currently we have 53,293. That is a case difference of 873. I know that you were listening to the briefing of the portfolio committee, and there were questions that were raised in respect of why are the sexual offenses in the big table different from those that are in the crimes against women and children. And the rationale for that, first, is that two different systems are used to draw these statistics. The first system is dependent on the charges, and the second system, which is used to draw the crimes against women and children, is the one that is trying to link the victim to the crime that has happened. So normally what happens is that we would then draw these statistics on crimes against women and children from the system, then physically go into the dockets and verify, so that we can then be in a position to allocate the crimes in a setting to the particular victim who has been a victim of such particular crime. So we were in the process of doing that verification when the COVID-19 issues started affecting us, whereby we could not get access to some of the dockets, we could not get access to some of the police stations. So we were caught between a rock and a hard place. Should we publish these figures, given that we have not finalized the checking, or should we rather finalize or check publish them and later on continue with the verification? So statistical principles guides that in such an event you are allowed to publish these numbers and then continue with the verification process, and at the later stage issue what is called a revision. All the statistical institutions have undertaken that. There were instances whereby GDP figures were published before all the surveys that make up the GDP basket were available. Then, because of the compliance with the special data dissemination standards, these numbers are then published, and then once you get all the information that is required, you then revise and issue. So this is the statistical practice that has been adopted in all the countries that they take their statistics serious, and so does the South African Police Service. So we went ahead and published these numbers, and we put a footnote to the effect that these numbers we have not yet verified or completed the verification, but as is now, these are the numbers. And I remember even in some instances when Status A would publish maybe victims of crime survey and alert the people that variable X in the victims of crime survey should be used with caution because of low response rates. So this is the same thing. Just because the system that draws the crimes against women and children were still going to be verified, that does not make the whole statistics not credible. The ones that we use to produce the table at the front, it has been verified. So that is the norm, that is the practice. If you look at the official United Nations official principle of statistics, that's exactly what's happening. If you go and look at the South African Statistical Quality Assessment Framework, which I was a member of developing that particular framework, that's exactly the practice that is recommended statistically. So I hope that clears the issue of sexual offenses with regard to the table at the front and the table at the back. It is solely guided by statistical principles. Then on the crime of attempted murder, in the 2018-19, we recorded 18,980 attempted murders. Currently, we have recorded 18,635. That is a reduction of 345 cases. Assault GBH 2018-19, we had 18,980. Currently, we have reported 18,635. That is, I think I repeated the same number. Assault GBH, we had 170,979. Currently, we have 166,720. That is a reduction of 4,259. Then common assault, we had recorded an increase of 3,482. Common robbery, an increase of 60 counts more compared to the previous financial year. Robbery with aggravating circumstances, we had recorded 3,958 counts more. So overall, for total contact crimes against the person, we have recorded an increase of 4,072 counts more compared to the previous financial year. Then the category of rape, which is also included under sexual offences. This is the instance where now we go into the detail of the individual crimes that makes the basket called sexual offences. It is made up of rape, sexual assault, attempted sexual offences, and contact sexual offences. The rape phenomenon, it has gone up by 706. That is, from 2018-19 we had 41,583. Currently we have 42,289. Sexual assault, we have 7,437. Currently we have 7,749. Again, an increase of 312 counts. Attempted sexual offences, we had 2,146. Currently we have 2,076. That is a reduction of 70 counts. Contact sexual offences, we had 1,254. Currently we are sitting at 1,179, a reduction of 75. So overall, total sexual offences has increased by 873 counts. Then the subcategory of crimes that are already touched on within the contact crimes category of robbery with aggravating circumstances. The breakdown, or the crimes that make up that broad category of robbery with aggravating circumstances, is carjacking, robbery at residential premises, robbery at non-residential premises, robbery of cash in transit, bank robbery, and truck hijacking. So for car hijacking, we had recorded an increase of 2,136 counts, moving from 16,026 to 18,162. Robbery at residential premises, we recorded 22,431 in 2018-19, and 2019-20 we are currently at 21,130. That is a reduction of 1,301. Robbery at non-residential premises, sometimes called robbery at business premises. It's called, there's a perception that might be created that these are exclusive business premises. As the name says, non-residential premises. This includes churches, schools, and all facilities that are not used for residential purposes. So people should not misconstrue this to be meaning businesses. So this robbery at non-residential premises, in the 2018-19 we recorded 19,991. Currently we are sitting at 20,651. That is an increase of 660. Robbery of cash in transit, or CITs, 2018-19 we had 183. Currently we have 164. That is a reduction of 19 counts. Bank robbery, we had 4 in the previous financial year. Currently there were no bank robberies. That is a reduction of 4 cases. Then truck hijacking, we had 1,182. Currently, we have 1,202. Again, an increase of 20. Then the contact-related crimes is made up of 2 crimes, that is arson and malicious damage to property. Arson, we had recorded 4,083. Currently, we have 3,783. That is 300 counts less. Malicious damage to property, we had 113,089. Currently, we have 108,451, a reduction of 4,628. And the broad category reduced by 4,928. Then the broad category of property-related crimes, burglary at non-residential premises decreased by 1,511. Burglary at residential premises decreased by 14,906. Theft of motor vehicle and motorcycle decreased by 1,403. Theft out of or from motor vehicle decreased by 6,863. Stock theft, which has been increasing for the past 3 years, decreased in the current financial year by 1,254. Then the other broad category is other serious crimes, where only commercial crimes increased, and then the 4 crimes are those that are termed crimes detected as a result of police action. Then on the next slide, we look at the 10-year trend of the 17 community-reported crimes, whereby we mentioned that the 17 community-reported crimes are made up of the 4 broad categories of crime: contact-related, contact-related, property-related, and other serious crimes. Over the 10-year period, we started at 816,350 in 2010-2011, and currently we are at 1,629,319. When you compare to the previous financial year, we had a reduction of 2.7%, that is 44,671 counts less. And all the provinces have recorded a decrease with regard to the 17 community-reported crimes. Then on the next slide, we are looking at the 10-year trend of what we termed the contact crimes. And for 2019-20, we have recorded an increase of 4,072. That is from 617,210 to 621,282. That is a percentage increase of 0.7%. Then when you look at the provincial breakdown, the 2 provinces that have recorded 4 digits increase was Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, with KwaZulu-Natal recording additional 3,649 counts of contact crimes, Gauteng recording additional 2,843, Mpumalanga recording additional 737, Eastern Cape recording additional 129. The province that has the highest reduction in terms of differences between the current and the previous financial year's numbers was the Northwest with 1,201, followed by the Free State with 820 less, then the Western Cape with 479, and then the Northern Cape with 300 less. Then on the next slide, if you look at that slide, this is the slide where we talk about women and children, which I had explained extensively at the beginning, and we have included a footnote to the effect that we had problems because of the COVID-19 situation. So it was a matter of damned if you do, damned if you don't. We have the numbers. Should we publish them? Should we wait until the COVID-19 situation is finalized and publish them? But statistical principles guide that go ahead and publish. Then once you have done your verification, you can then come back and revise the figures, which is exactly what we did. There is nothing sinister about that. Then for the crimes of murder, for the bottom table is the crimes against women, where for the murders they have decreased by 76, sexual offences 5,501, attempted murder 282, assault GBH 3,283, common assault increased by 474. Then for children, the contact crimes, murder decreased by 71, sexual offences 2,317, attempted murder a reduction of 47, assault GBH minus 309, common assault minus 137. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is akin to the victims of crime variable that when it was published, it was mentioned that the estimates for this particular variable are inconsistent and hence they will be revised. So that's exactly the same way we approach the subject matter and publish the numbers as they are. Subject to the improvement of the pandemic, we will go verify, and it is allowable to revise statistics because we have a revision policy. Then when we look at the causative factors for some of the categories of contact crimes, last year we were asked that, but then when you add these murders, they do not necessarily add up to the numbers at the front there. These numbers do not add up to 21,000. Let me just make sure. They do not add up to 21,325. What happened in some instances? Well, it's possible that in some instances it was not mentioned exclusively in the docket what the causative factor could have been. Some instances it is that bodies are discovered in the field where there are no witnesses. So you cannot in all respect be in a position to account for each and every murder and determine exactly what were the causative factors. So those that were prominent or in larger numbers are the ones that we looked at and where it was specifically mentioned within the docket that these were the causative factors that led to the murder. Arguments and misunderstanding not related to domestic violence, that is in instances where the victim and the perpetrator do not have a relationship, it contributed 75,996 across the 4 crime categories. Then domestic related contributed 38,656 across the 4 categories, that is 1,482 to the murders. Then we had revenge or retaliation contributing 7,108. By the way, these slides and the causative factors have been ranked across the descending causative factors. That's why we have arguments, we have domestic followed by domestic violence. This is how they had contributed across the 4 crime categories. Then on the next slide, we looked at instances where it was explicitly mentioned that either the victim or the perpetrator had consumed alcohol prior or during the commission of the crime. So these are confirmed liquor cases attributing to the counts of contact crimes. Assault GBH, that is alcohol-induced, was 14,843. Common assault 8,755 because of alcohol. Rape 2,859, 1,430 murders, and 1,294 attempted murders because of alcohol. Then at the bottom there, we show confirmed cases at liquor outlets. That is, in the first place, it was when the victim or the perpetrator had used alcohol. So at the bottom there, we looked at cases which had been confirmed to have taken place either at a shebeen, a tavern, a nightclub, or a bar. In terms of rape, there were 348 that happened at such facilities, 6,298 common assault, 11,128 assault GBH, 838 attempted murders, and 844 murders. On these ones, the next slide, I will just touch on those that I think are worth mentioning. For instance, we had 18,231 rapes happening at either the residence of the perpetrator or the victim, including residences known by victim, perpetrator, the family, friends or neighbors, and 5,522 murders happening at such residences. Then the murders that happened at public places was 9,714, and the rapes was 7,940. The liquor outlets we have already touched on in the previous slide. So we also have crimes that happen at educational institutions, that is schools, universities, college and daycares. We have 52 murders happening at such facilities and 380 rapes happening at such facilities. Then on the next slide is just the highlights of the murder, which the Minister has already touched on in his opening remarks, that there was halvening from 1,320 difference to 686, then 303, which he further mentioned that the highest province was KwaZulu-Natal. So I wouldn't go into details for that. Murder of police officials, we had 73, of which 35 were on duty, and then 38 were off duty. The highest province with those that were off duty was KZN, and those that were killed while they were on duty was Gauteng, both with 11. Then in terms of farm murders, we had recorded 2 more. That is, in the previous financial year, we had 47 number of victims that happened at farms and small holdings, and in the current financial year, we had 49. That is an increase, I think, 3 years back, whereby we had around 60-something, and we reduced those murders by 15, and then they came to 47. Then last year, it was an increase of 2. Then stock theft, I will jump to the stock theft figure, where we mentioned that it has been on the increase for 3 consecutive years. In the current financial year, we reduced that by 1,254. And that is the last of the summary of the crime stats for the 2019-2020 financial year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Major General Sikukune, for your contribution and, of course, explaining the very important figures before us. I would also like to welcome your mosque. I'd also like to welcome the National Police Commissioner of the South African Police Service, General Sithole. With that, can you please open up the floor to some questions? I did mention earlier on that there are various ways that the members of the media can address the principles before us. We do have a WhatsApp line as well as a telephone line, and we'll be just taking questions through those mediums. But before we go there, maybe we could get some questions from the journalists that are with us in attendance this morning. Could I maybe just see some hands, possibly? We'll take the first 3, and just, you know the drill, introduce yourself, who you represent, and of course, who you're directing your questions to. We can start with Newsroom Africa.
Hi, my name is Malungelo Boy from Newsroom Africa. We see that KwaZulu-Natal is now the murder capital of this province. Do we know which areas exactly are problematic in KwaZulu-Natal, and why are we seeing this trend in KwaZulu-Natal? Thank you.
All right, let's take the second question.
Azara Karim from News 24. Focusing on the Western Cape, has there been any gang-related crime statistics over the past years? Is there any data covering the period when the SANDF was deployed from July 2019 to March in the the end of March in the Cape Town area. Do you think that gang statistics will be included going forward or considered going forward? And the crime stats in the Western Cape kind of remain the same. So why has it not come down since the Army's deployment? And then can I ask some more? Or
Let's just maybe keep it at that. Let's take the last question, please. You can always come back for some more, of course.
Thank you. My name is Govan Whittles from ENCA. Minister, I just would like to find out what is behind the spike in KZN, in murders particularly. And then, do these statistics reflect at all the outcome of the increased police deployment during the last 2.5 months, and what was that impact in terms of the statistics? Where can we see the impact? And then finally, Minister, if I could get your comment on this issue regarding the now confirmed sacking of the former acting police commissioner Khomotso Patlane, whose sacking was confirmed yesterday by the police after he appeared in that disciplinary hearing. The question is, Minister, this acting commissioner who was sacked had faced allegations of wrongdoing relating to an 84 million rand blue light police tender, and he had been paid while on suspension since 2017. Pop Crew is unhappy about that, but the question is around the position of the police commissioner. We have now had the former police commissioner Bheki Cele, who unceremoniously left. Yourself, while you were police commissioner, sir, you also left the position unceremoniously, and now we have the Khomotso Patlane, who has left the position unceremoniously. What is it about this position that seems to be troubled by these activities, and what kind of message does it send to the South African public that this has happened again? Thank you.
All right, those are quite a few questions. Let's allow for some answers. Over to you, Minister.
I must come there, eh?
Yes, please.
The last question, Comrade Bheki went through the court systems and was found guilty. Patlane was acting, and there are allegations that are going on, but the rest of the answer will come with the National Commissioner. Personal question, I'm not sure if you have followed the whole story, because things that were said that I was not fit for the office, said by a certain gentleman called Mloyi, the court of law and the judge in the court of law said that was nonsense. That was overturned by the court of law in the Republic of South Africa. If you follow that story, which means you can go and ask whoever fired Cele on the wrong basis, because the court of law in the review said Cele did not do anything wrong. That is a judge in the court of law, not any form, not any form of investigation or commission. So that's that. For Cele, as somebody who fired him, but the judge in the court of law says the finding of him not fit for the office is nonsense. That's what the judge said. So don't put Cele in that category, in that list then. Okay? Because the judge said it wasn't there. Coming to your question of KZN, looks like everybody is asking about KZN. I hope you are not asking that question because I'm a KZN man. You're just asking because I'm responsible for the whole country. Look, I'll have to find out. Umlazi, Inanda tops in the rape in the whole Republic of South Africa. Umlazi comes second in the rape in the whole Republic of South Africa. Inanda is number 3 in the murder in the whole Republic of South Africa. And Umlazi is number 4 in the matter in the whole Republic of South Africa. So, which means the question you ask, which are these areas? Our most problematic areas there would be Umlazi, Nomashu. I mean Umlazi, Nenanda. So that's what the figures are telling us. And maybe going to the NCA question, why so? Really, sociologists and will have to tell us why so. But let me say this. These figures you get, as the General Skukuna said, are for financial year 2019-2020. They've got nothing to do with the states under lockdown. Those lockdown stats will come quarterly. We'll start, remember lockdown was 27th of March, and then the year ends 31st of March. So we start from 1st April. So whatever you see here has got nothing to do with lockdown. One other problem that we have found with Inanda, somehow confirmed, is that most of the people, they are raped coming from ship-ins. They are raped by people coming from ship-ins. They are raped around ship-ins, or they are raped in ship-ins. So there is that issue. So murders would go with these rapes. So which means alcohol does play the problem, the issue on these matters. But other thing, Umlazi is a formal township, but it's got lot of informal structures, and it has been proven that we do have a problem with environmental design of these areas. And as you would know, Inanda itself is not a very formal kind of area. So designs do give us the problems. Doesn't matter where in the country, but it looks like KZN, it has increased. But thirdly, National Commissioner and the Minister, we have taken the decision to say we need the focus as we did forecast in Western Cape. That's why you see something like Operation Vala. That is we started it very late in the last financial year to go and try and stabilize that province. But is one area that it would still have some problems. You remember that though it has gone down, your Cliplands is part of Umlazi, and hostels do give problems. That would be the same with Kwamashu. Though Kwamashu as a station has tried to improve, but hostels, they still give us a lot of problems on that matter. I think they'll come back on the gangster issues in Western Cape. In Western Cape, give us because there are statistics around the gangsters. You have seen it, yeah, there are. So I don't take questions. She does, and then transfer question to me, and then the Patlana matter will be answered by the National Commissioner that is here, and then you say you are fine with the gangster statistics. You don't need a further explanation of that. Because the Skukun is here, so we are fine. Okay. National Commissioner?
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, and thank you very much to the media for the questions. I think I will just give it in short. The former acting National Commissioner has been subjected to a series of internal investigations pending the criminal proceedings which were instituted by IPIT, and those series of internal investigations reached a final conclusion yesterday. Hence, the decision that you refer to. I then also want to say, as the minister has responded, nothing is wrong with this position. Something is wrong about crime. And we will continue to fight crime. I also just want to add on the deployments vis-a-vis the states. I think there's a tremendous impact which has been made by the deployments coming out of the states. Firstly, the stabilization interventions, I think there we deployed more than 300 additional forces from other provinces to support the Western Cape together with the defense. And that has assisted us to stabilize Western Cape. I think Western Cape is going to go on normalization. There's several other hotspots, like for instance, the specific crimes which were giving us challenges, like the heists. We managed to clamp them down through the deployments because we followed the stabilization and normalization. So there's some of those crimes where we've achieved a considerable decrease, and that is dedicated to the deployments. And we will continue to do the so-called strategic deployment of these resources, and they will go to where the crimes are and following the geographical approach. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. I believe that we do have some clarity questions, but let's maybe come back to those and take some questions from our line. People are holding on for some time now. Jabu, do you have anybody on the line, possibly?
Thank you, Liranson. No, we don't have any call at the moment.
Okay, that's fine. Can we then maybe take some WhatsApp questions? Takalani?
Thank you, Lerans. The first question that we have, it's from Sinesi from Record newspaper, and the question is: Pretoria has been among the places that have experienced farm attacks, and this, as many of the police stations are situated far from the residential areas, crippling the ability of the service to respond faster to the crimes. What plan is in place for faster response to these areas? And secondly, does the service take note of these crimes as targeted crimes of remote areas or under the category of general violent crimes? And we also have a question from Sisonke from Cape Argus newspaper. The question is: what are the strategies used by the police in collaboration with the tertiary institutions to help in campus safety? And we have a question from Annalise from Sevemas Safety and Security magazine. And the question is directed to the Lieutenant General Skukun. And the question is: please explain the difference in statistics between farm murders. 46 murders, but the slide that details place of occurrence indicates that 166 murders took place on agricultural land, which is farm plot small holding. And we have a question from Evelyn Morris from Caxton, local media based in Durban. And the question is: we have repeatedly been contacted by those who say they are refused opportunities to report threats of rape and other harassment at the hands of public officials. One source told me the community center staff told her they don't have forms. Another reported being told to come back when they have actually been raped or physically attacked. What is being done to increase the level of reporting crime while these sorts of things are continuing?
Thank you, Takalani. Thank you, Takalani. Can we then get some answers? And I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, we will come back to the follow-up questions that you have in here in Pretoria. But for now, let's just handle the WhatsApp questions.
General Masimula will deal with the farms as they were asked, and I think the campus safe, the expert to that is the National Commissioner. But I'll talk on the overall of the farm killings. Farm killings, like all other killings, are taken very serious. I'm sure Skukun will give those actual figures that were asked. So it's one area that we would love to respond quick and make sure that we work with everybody to reduce that kind of attack, including there will be things that you don't understand until you come very close to them. For instance, the farm attack that happened in Northern Cape, it's funny that nothing was stolen. Nothing was stolen whatsoever. Even the car that was taken must look like was a getaway car. So why would people go and kill people so brutal and take nothing from the farm? So which means we'll have to work on that motive. The one brutal case will be Winland in KZN. I'm sure everybody has heard of that, of the wife. We are working on that. I'm not saying so, but we are also looking at it. It might happen that is a domestic violence rather than the farm matter. We are looking at that we might be dealing with a domestic violence here. So it will be issue of farm, but it's got the element of the criminality that South Africa has, that people will be murdered for robbery, people will be murdered for personal anger, if it is so, and others will be domestic violence happening in the farm. We still have to analyze those things going forward. But at no stage that will undermine the seriousness of the farm killings or generally the matters that are going on in the Republic of South Africa. I do want to answer the last question. I don't know where to get the address of the person that asked the last question of people not giving opportunity of reporting to police stations. If really we can get hold of that person and we speak and give us those facts, because the commissioner and we have taken a serious dim view of our police members that are not helping the victims, especially victims of violence at the station level, that send them, I've never heard of it, that come back when you have been raped. We have time and again raised the issue to say police are not there to give advice to the victims to go back and negotiate. Is not their area to go to tell people to go and negotiate. Once a woman or a child or elderly person comes and raises the issue of the sexual attack, whatever form of it, police must stand and really act on that particular one. Last week or 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had such an incident, bad incident in the station called Kempton Park, where our police were really bad to the woman that was a victim. I think she was stabbed 22 times, attacked, and police were quite nonsensical doing those things. And I'm glad the National Commissioner is here. He has already acted on that. So we will decisively act on the members of the South African police that are not doing their work, especially when it comes to the gender-based violence and femicide. We would love to get that information. Somebody said it's in Durban. If we can reach that person, we will, so that we get more details and we act on that one. But the Commissioner will answer on the campus safety, and Masimula will answer on the farm, the distance and the remote areas on the farming community. What's happening there? Thanks.
You can go.
Thanks, Minister, and everybody. With regard to farm matters, you would recall that we implemented rural safety strategy last year. We launched it in Limpopo. We do take cognizance that, yes, most of the farms are quite far from police stations. So hence, part of the strategy is to recruit both the farm workers as well as the farmers to be reservists so that they can assist us in keeping these farm matters. So we are at this stage reviewing the implementation of the rural safety strategy to check on where we come from, what needs to be adjusted so that as we move on, we can, together with the farming community and everybody and the rural communities, assess as to how do we then move forward, what is it that we can adjust so that we go along. But currently, we do have a collab of reservists in all the provinces. Of course, it's not only for the rural, but it's both for all stations. We have collab of reservists where we say they must assist in crime combating operations in all areas. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. Yeah, Minister, I'll just start with an addition on what General Masemula has related on with regard to the farmer tax. Just to add that we have decided also on the modernization of policing. And when it comes to the modernization of policing, we've added the online policing strategy, where we're making maximum use of the online platforms to ensure that we're reaching out to people who are at the remote areas. We've also shifted the 72-hour activation plan to make it the rural activation plan. I'm sure hence we have seen the response at Hartswater. Then there's also traditional policing concept that we've introduced, and he spoke about reservists. And within the traditional policing, we are introducing the Royal Reserve Police Service through the reservist concept. Then on the tertiary institution, we are planning to have a tertiary summit, a campus safety summit, and we will be mobilizing all the students, the teachers or lecturers, you may call them, and then that will also include community policing. We're going to link all the tertiary institutions to community policing as well as sector policing within their local spheres. We've also introduced the youth crime prevention concept, where all the young people are mobilized around that. They were going to be part of this. And the last edition of this is also the introduction of the online policing strategy, because young people are active at online level in order to make sure that we react to all incidents at school, starting with bullying and then coming to the securing of the infrastructure, because those are the prevalent that is attacks, including all crimes that we want to respond to. It's a new introduction, because previously we had a school safety plan, but now we're going to have a campus safety plan. Thank you.
The question that I was asked relate to, I think, on slide 7, where we had agricultural land, farm plot, and small holdings. So I guess it's a matter of trying to be too detailed, because when we talk of agricultural land, we include back where we grew up in the rural areas. There are fields where women go and plow, and some take the cattle for grazing and what have you. So we grouped that type of fields as agricultural land, and then it also includes those that have been done through the rural safety strategy, whereby the murder might have happened on the farm, but then what differentiate them from these statistics is that those that are perceived to have happened on a farm, there's a committee that includes members of the SAPS, members of the unions, who sit and look at all those possible farm-related incidents. Then they apply the definition that is peer-agreed between these entities to say, if we apply this definition on this type of murder, does it qualify as a farm murder? Then once it qualifies, then it is then recorded as a farm murder. However, those that happen, emasimini, cattle grazing and what have you, those are the ones that we are talking about, and it includes those that happened at the farms. I hope that the agricultural land is clarified, that it also includes fields where there is plowing, there's grazing, etc. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are we then able to maybe take the last round of questions, starting from the floor, and then we'll just end up on our WhatsApp line. I know there were questions of clarity. Can you just maybe get some hands? Governor, are you sorted? All right, we'll take those 2 hands, please.
Sorry, is it, can I go?
You can go ahead, ma'am.
Minister, what is your evaluation on the state of the police service after looking at these statistics? And do you think that the police brutality that has been experienced has eroded public trust, especially now during COVID, but also with some police officials breaking regulations? In terms of the stats, that was just a bit of a thing. I see that there are 21 politically motivated murders. The KZN task teams, are those stats included in the data? And if not, how do the police keep track of these statistics?
I think let's just keep it there. There's about 4 questions. You'll maybe come back for the last bite. Gavin?
Thank you so much. It's Govin again from ENCA. Just a point of clarity then on the presentation which was circulated to us. On page 1 of the presentation, it says sexual offences are up by 873 cases. And on page 4, it says sexual offences against women are down 15% and sexual offences against children are down 9.5%. But then it says that sexual offences are up overall. So how do you explain these figures? What contributed to the rise in sexual offences overall if we're seeing these offences against women and children are down? Just I may be misunderstanding that one. And Minister, you had usually given us the breakdown of the top 10 police stations. And we want to know why we don't have that this year. And you have usually specified the area which is the so-called murder capital. It had been Nyanga for a long time. Which area would that be in South Africa, or is it still Nyanga? And then finally, Minister, you are saying in your statement that the crimes detected as a result of police action have decreased by 14%. does that reflect the quality of detectives, or what does that mean that the police are not detecting the crimes? Could you just elaborate on that and what it means? Thank you so much, Mr.
All right, colleagues. Anybody else? Malu?
Thanks, Lorenzo. General Sikakana said something that was a bit confusing to me earlier when he was talking about murder, and if he said when they found, for example, a body dumped on the road, that does not necessarily mean that it will also be, be included in the stats. I just want to make sure that I understood him correctly. What happens there? Thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Colleagues, let me just remind you that the full presentation of the crime stats is available on our website, which is saps.gov.za. You're more than welcome to go and check out those figures there. But with that, let's open for some answers.
Thank you very much. Kevin, I'm sure you did get the answer. We've got an 164-page report. There where you get all these details, the top 8 and all that. But for now, Nyanga has moved down in Western Cape. For the first time is green, Nyanga. So it has moved, but Western Cape still stayed as a capital. I think Delft now has occupied that, followed by Khayelitsha, and then I have said to you, then followed by Nanda, and followed by Umlazi. That's murder. But when it comes to rape, still your Inanda, number 1, and Umlazi. So in the top 30, especially on murder, you find that is made by 4 provinces. That will be your Gauteng, your KZN, your Eastern Cape, and your Western Cape. So all those details that are in this book you will find there. But you wanted to hear me saying it. It is so. Evaluation of the police. I think we had 2 last bad financial years. News 24. 2017, 18, 19, where we have been really going up and up. So we had to do something to stabilize it. Maybe it goes back to the question you asked, that there was no reduction in Western Cape of the cases. But there were that keeping one same figure was a lot of work to do. You have never found the Western Cape that does not go up. That is stagnant. Never found such a Western Cape. So which means how huge the rot was, we had to put these resources to stabilize it. I guess for the fact now that in a year you can, you've never seen a Western Cape that has one increase on murder. Not that Western Cape. That we have stabilized it now. I think we are in position to begin to descend, to go down. We can't allow ourselves to go back and allow Western Cape to go up. So the valuation for the last year, we were up overall. This year, I think we're 2.7 down. Is very small percentage. But for the fact that we have moved from positive to minus, so we have the evaluation. We say we're not there, but we're on the right direction. So that would be my evaluation. Police brutality. I just hope one day this question will go. Well, I think you did hear that one thing we have done, we have found the head of the IPIT. I hope that will stabilize the IPIT, and the IPIT will do its work of investigating the police that are bad apples, that we don't need in this organization. No doubt, we do have our bad apples. Unfortunately, there is no house that doesn't have its bad apples, including in your own clan. There are bad apples. Your own clan. Yesterday, it was so funny when there was a discussion about such a rotten senior magistrate. I'm sure you heard that yesterday. So, with 29 charges. So, police are on the front line, you hear them every day and all that. I don't say then we should ignore that. What do we do about that, I think, is the most important thing. I would argue that police is one of the most monitored structure. It's got this special IPIT that is looking after them, but also they've got their lot of internal structures, ACC, anti-corruption committee within the South African police. We're trying to enhance that. Anti-corruption committee is made of very senior police, but we have agreed now that we want to invite the eminent South Africans that are not police to come and join that anti-corruption police, so that we give the extra integrity to it. There are names that we have spoken about that would be working to invite, so that they enhance and they strengthen that internal anti-corruption police and all that. Human rights are quite heavy on the South African police. I get the feedbacks every time, especially from Western Cape, Reverend Chris Nissen, you get, but generally, human rights, they are raising matter. I think even the chair, I think Bob Machola, they raise the matters on this. So we do take that, but more so, your committee, your CPFs, they do raise matters. That's one other structure that monitors police. But also as a tool of the South African police, especially for the minister, we have a secretariat. The head of the secretariat is sitting right here. They go inspect the police, give the report when these matters come. That's why I was saying I would love to get exactly where in Durban this thing happened, because they need to go there, find out, and they bring back report. They are monitored. But those that commit crime, they will have to be treated as criminals. There is no other way. If you are a thief, which means you are a criminal, if you steal every confiscated goods, must be put on the SP13, where all every confiscated goods is put by the police. But if you take it to your house and you think your house is a storeroom for the police, we'll arrest you. So many police have been arrested, especially on two sins: alcohol and tobacco. Those under the lockdown, quite a big number of the members of the South African police have. But who arrests them are the members of the South African police, which means we forget that there are good ones and we concentrate on the bad ones. And the bad ones will be arrested by the good ones. And up to this point, I believe that we've got a big portion, a big population of the good members of the South African police. Maybe that is why that the prisons at the present moment, they are 37% overpopulated. And all those people, they don't go there on toi, they don't march to prison to hand over themselves. They go there because somebody has done his work, which happens to be either a man or a woman in blue, and then they send them to processes. 37% overpopulation, which means somebody somewhere is doing his or is doing her work. By the way, including, I've repeated this, including 4,728 lifers, people that are doing life, most of them because of the sexual offenses, the rape. For you to get life, which means somebody has done a good job in the investigation. And so for those women and men in blue who do their work, bravo to them. But for those that they think this is an organization for criminal, will hit on them, it's unfortunate. That is they belong to us. As I have said when I speak to the police, that one thing painful to do is to arrest the member of the South African police, but it is correct to do so when it is needed to do so. So the brutality and the question is answered on that one. Political killings. The figure that is given is for this annual year. Is not remember. I think it's 3 years now, Commissioner, that the special team has been there. But we are talking about this year. So there will be obvious cases that, for instance, if a politician is killed, the first suspicion would be that is a political killing. But there would be cases that, as you investigate, you discover that there were much less political and ordinary crime for whatever other reasons, and then they will be taken back to the structures that investigate that. Unfortunately, I don't have figures, but I did give figures on my budget speech. How successful that team that has been sent in KZN to deal with the matters. Quite several people that have been sentenced, some that are doing life, some cases are in the NPA for decision, and there are some investigations that are going on. While there have been, especially in this province, the high level of political killing, but since that team has come, the situation has really slowed down, though we'd love to work hard that we finish it, we eradicate it, but for now it has slowed down with the team going there. But the figure is not for all the time, it's for the previous financial year, 1920. Thanks. There are other specific questions to Skukuni, and I think Commissioner will answer one more.
Morning once more. I think you might have been confused because I was talking to causative factors that it's highly unlikely at that point in time when you discover a body in the field to be in a position to determine what could have been the causative factor. So I was mentioning it just so that you can be in a much better position to understand that in instances where there were witnesses, the witnesses would say, no, they were arguing about this and that and that. But then if you just discover a body, then it becomes difficult to know that. I was not saying that, okay. On the first question that was asked, I think when I started the presentation, I went into the details in terms of the discrepancies between slide 1 and slide 4. And I think I spent something like 5 minutes explaining that particular phenomenon. That we're using 2 different systems. The one system that is used to populate the first table, it focuses on charges. Then the second one, where we used to extract the information for women and children, it tries to link the charge to the victim. And then I mentioned that normally, after having extracted this information from the system, we then physically go and then look at the dockets to be in a position to allocate the specific crime type to the specific victim. It is possible that in 2 women, one can be raped, the other can be robbed. But you need to be in a position, now you're not talking of charges, you're talking in terms of what happened to victim A, what happened to victim B. and you need to appropriately link the charge to the victim that had suffered that particular crime. And then I further said, this information, we've been making it available over a number of years. And we were faced with a situation whereby we're saying, due to COVID-19 situation and whatever, we can't go into the physical dockets because some of the stations are closing, some of the dockets, people have underlying conditions, they are afraid to touch the dockets and what have you, and we couldn't complete the assessment that we needed to complete. Now we were left with the situation, do we or don't we? If we didn't, we would have been asked the question, what is it that you are hiding this year? So based on guidance from statistical principles, which says that in that event, proceed and publish what you have at that point in time. And once you have done your due diligence in terms of quality assurance and checks, and you have the corrected figures, with all due respect, revise the numbers. These numbers might go up, might go down. At this point in time, I'm not sure which direction they're going to take. So the question is, should we rather have not included them and then be asked why? So we included them and we make a footnote up front to say this is the situation. We have not finished the quality assurance. And I gave an example of gross domestic product. The production of gross domestic product is informed by a number of surveys. Manufacturing, utilization of production capacity, maybe even the quarterly labor force survey and what have you, might be one of those surveys that add into the production of the index called GDP. Now, should it happen that one of the surveys is delayed, the special data dissemination standards dictates that you should not postpone your release. You release with what you have at that point in time, and once that the result of the particular survey that was not part of the GDP at that point in time becomes available, you incorporate and then you publish and you revise. And that is exactly the practice that we have undertaken in this regard. We have the numbers, but the quality assurance process, it's still outstanding. So we have done it halfway. Should we throw the baby with the water, or should we keep it and then revise, verify, revise, and then issue? I then further mentioned that there was an instance whereby a survey, which is made up, maybe can be made up of 10 questionnaires or so, but one of the questions within the questionnaire has not been appropriately responded to, whereby maybe you have a 2% response rate. You have collected the information. Now the question is, do you publish that number because of a low response rate? Yes, you can publish, but then you write a footnote that due to poor response to this particular question, we cannot guarantee that there will be 95% confidence level allocated around the estimates produced by this particular question. And that's exactly what we have done. Thank you.
There is one more for the crime detection.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think as you would know that crimes dependent on police action, they must go higher in order to influence our performance positively. So when they go down, it's not necessarily because of the quality of the detectives, but I want to explain a scenario that our crime detection goes in terms of the two types of policing. We have detection in the conventional approach, and we also have detection in the unconventional approach. And if I would put drugs as an example, in the unconventional policing approach, we have what we call the covert operations, which is under OCTA. And that's where we achieve big bust, the drug bust. And an example of that, the financial year under-reporting, we've actually had quite a lot of drug busts, including in the farms. And in one of the drug busts, we actually confiscated drugs that could supply South Africa and as well as the neighboring countries. Now, when you cut the supplies through the drug bust, you are likely not to find so much in the streets. So it's still a high performance in relation to detections. And the crimes dependent on detection, they do not only affect detectives. We also execute this through operations, various other operations. So it's a collective policing subject, but there is a likelihood that you may find some of them decreasing because unconventionally we've increased our performance and vice versa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. Just to top up on the Minister regarding the KZN task team, just to give you those numbers that he was referring to, since its inception, we've had about 249 people charged with murder, and 35 have been sentenced, and 48 dockets are ready for trial. So those are the numbers that you probably be quite useful for you. Let's now go to the WhatsApp questions. Do we have any WhatsApp questions, Takalani?
Thanks, Leranzo. We have Wongasirai from Inkonjana FM, and the question is, with the rise in domestic violence, as the subs may be considered strengthening the Tutuzela centers in order to assist victims, and does subs have enough personnel to fight crime during these trying times of COVID-19, noting that more police are infected and dying from the virus? And we have Anton from ARD, German TV, who is asking whether there will be a poaching related stats. And we have Vikas Berger from Network 24. And the question is, what specialist units will be involved in combating farm attacks and murders, and what are they going to do? And please provide in detail on the plan of action. And also, where did the police get its stats on farm attacks and murders? And is the minister sure it is correct? And the last two questions from my side, Leranzo.
Yes.
We have Patrick from Fleet Watch Truck Magazine, and said the truck hijackings have increased. Also of concern are the number of trucks destroyed in service delivery protests. And then there are the trucks banned in protests against foreign drivers. Then there is the looting of trucks. With all these, truck drivers are feeling under siege and scared out on the roads. What are the national measures taken to protect trucks and truck drivers on the roads? And the last question is from Koli Swantuluntul from Inkonjane News. And the question is, as subs, what steps have already taken as South African National Defence Force members were found smoking at Ndrumlange's funeral? Is there special investigators for this case? Thanks, Lorenzo.
Thank you so much. Those are quite a mouthful of questions. Could we then safe to say that this is the last round and wrap this up? All right. With that, we'll hand over to our officials. Thank you.
Rise on the gender-based violence and femicide. I'm sure you are aware that we have added F now on the gender-based GBVF because it has been established that femicide, we must make a real concentration on dealing with it. Gender-based violence and femicide, one has been trying to say time and again, police should be on the front line, or the justice, the crime justice system, the whole chain, the police, the prosecutors, the magistrates, including the correctional service and all that. We will forever sharpen ourselves. I have said to say the teams that are specializing on this matter are teams that are trained for it. The FCS, 185 of them in the country, as units, plus 10 more which are specializing on the national high-profile crime, like your serial rape, as it's happening somewhere in Potchefstroom at a place called Umzumbe at the present moment. Those sugarcane killings and all that. So there would be that. And then we have recruited 312 new members from the South African Police last output to come and join and be trained specifically for this. And again, Commissioner has put more resources, more cars, but also extra training to the members that are there. That's what police will do. But as you know, that this is interministerial issue, that President has appointed the interministerial issue led by the Minister of Women. Fortunately, police are part of that, and social development. Tutuzela centers would be issues of the social development department working with us, but we do have ours, what you call our rooms? Victim-friendly rooms. Those victim-friendly rooms in the South African police stations are there to keep for a shortest possible time a victim. For instance, if a woman is abused at 12 midnight, we'll come to the police station, can't go back to home, but also we can't take you to Tutuzela Center or any other safe house. We'll keep you at the police station. We have an overnight facility, your bed, a toilet, there are toys for kids and all that, so that you are safe until next morning. So we work together with these departments, especially the DSD and especially the Department of Women. One thing that we have agreed is that this FCS must work together with this department, brief them about their achievements, but also listen more. What do they think needs to be done from these other structures that deal with this? Is one area that we regard it as we instructed by the president. That is a second pandemic. We're putting a lot of effort in the question of gender-based violence and poaching. I'm sure the visible policing, Masemola will work on that together with Skokone. Also, special units, Masemola will work on that. The question of the farm killing, I think killings is one of the easiest stats because you pick up a dead body. Is one really state that you can't rob. You pick up a dead body. So if we ask if these farm killings are true, surely police would not have written the states of murdered people yet you haven't seen the body. Yes, as Kukun has explained, the collection of them, some are reported by the organization. As I want to repeat, we are working very well with the organized agriculture unions out there. We are working very well with some neighborhood watches out there. They'll give the information. We'll go there as the police, and but really is an easier statistics, a painful easier statistics, because we would not say 9 people died when there were 6 bodies there. You can't say so. So we say 9 people died because you picked up 9 bodies. So the murder and the farms, we work with other structures, the committees and all other organization on that one. Well, I think I have answered this one of women there. The trucks, maybe details again can be given, but the trucks issues, unfortunately, while there is a lot of crime around them, they are basically labor issues, not even transport issues, are basically labor issues. That's why the Interministerial Committee has been established here by the President, and the Minister of Labor chairs that committee. Minister of Police also sits on that committee. Because the argument is that the job is given to the foreign nationals. Is it wrong to have jobs with the foreign nationals in the country? No, it's not. But there are measures that are supposed to be taken before that. For instance, the jobs that are supposed to be given to the foreign nationals are those jobs that South Africa doesn't have its skills. For instance, the company will apply to the labor to say we need such skills, and then labor will go to the Home Affairs to say, can we import this skill in South Africa? The question now that is raised here is truck driving a scarce skill? I don't know if it is a scarce skill. I've never driven a truck. For me, it must be a scarce skill because I can't drive it. But I'm told that there are almost 1 million truck drivers in South Africa. So that's what we need to deal with as this interministerial committee. But at the meantime, everything that happens that is a crime, we need to act on those. When you burn the truck, you loot the truck, you need to act on those. And then there are quite several, many people actually that are arrested for burning the trucks and looting. So it's a combination of things, of measures should be followed, but we're not going to wait for those things to be there. Any party that commits crime will be followed. Soldiers smoking. Smoking is not a crime. Smoking is not a crime. It's like drinking. It depends where you drink. There is one place to drink at the present moment, is your house and your father's house. Now, it's very clear on that one to say you shall not dispense, you shall not transport the alcohol. So you can't drink in the car because we are transporting. So that's clear. But if we find you drinking in your car of stuff that you have packed, your wine, you look at really there is no issue there. Smoking, this thing of smoking and receipt keeps coming. We have arrested a lot of people carrying cigarettes. If I'm not mistaken, we have arrested cigarettes of about 1.8 million. That we have arrested when people carry these things. If you carry cigarettes in that bulk, the cigarette is in your car and all that, we would love to know where you find the cigarette. Because sale of cigarette is not allowed. So purchasing cigarette cannot be allowed if the sale is not allowed. So you can't purchase something that is not allowed to be sold. So you help us if we say, give us the receipt, so that we go to a person that is a first sinner here by selling what is not supposed. But yourself, you're not supposed to buy. So that we have been trying to differentiate that thing of receipt. Smoking definitely is not banned in South Africa. This soldier issue, let me take the whole so that you don't come back to this question. The whole question of the Babu Mlangeni funeral is under investigation. There are people that have been asked by the police. As the investigation is finalized, the docket will be taken to the NPA for decision. But the soldiers that you saw already speaking to the Minister of Defense yesterday has told me that the internal decisions, the internal disciplines have been taken against the soldiers that were smoking there. That I'm in the army is called the negative order. Once you are given the negative order, which means that's some form of discipline going forward, and that has already happened. Thank you. Poaching stats.
Thanks very much. With regard to poaching, we still have integrated teams that integrated teams that are still deployed in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga and Limpopo. As you are aware that those are the provinces where we have a problem of rhino poaching and elephant poaching. So those teams integrated with the officials of SANParks are still deployed. Unfortunately, we don't have the stats, but we will make it available. It is task teams that are in those provinces. They are not yet units, but we are working towards that. Thanks very much.
There's one more question about the effect of the COVID on the police. National Commission will answer that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Minister. I think we actually share the concern, and our stats has obviously gone beyond 10,000 as we speak. But we just want to allay the fears of the nation. Firstly, we decided to adopt the reservist personnel plan. We formalized it, and under the reservist personnel plan, we're dealing with the formal establishment of the Tourism Reserve Police Service as well as the Royal Police Service. But the Deputy National Commissioner Policing has also issued a national collab where we're calling up all reservists to come and back up the police and in the current stabilization interventions. Then we have introduced the safer city concept under modernization of policing. With the safer city approach, we are working towards the development of a national safer city index where we're taking all our cities into the index, and we are introducing the safer city technology. I think if we introduce the safer city CCTV cameras as well as drone policing, in an instance where you need almost 5,000 police, you can do with 100. So then there's going to be a considerable reduction of the need for police in the streets while we enhance visibility through the technology. So that is the approach that we have adopted at the moment. Thank you.
There was a question asked on environmental crimes and whether they are going to be included. We have on the big presentation on slide 140, we have included the environmental crimes, and then we have indicated by provincial breakdown. Should I start from the beginning again? The question on environmental crimes, poaching statistics, we have included in the expanded version of the presentation. They are on slide 140, and then on the next slide we have also included the types of animals and also the provincial breakdown in terms of the cases that have been reported in those respective provinces. Thank you.
Ooh, thank you very much, General, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this really brings a close to our press briefing. It was quite interesting to receive the questions and, of course, the answers as well. But it is quite important to note that, as the Minister has alluded to the fact that these statistics will now be released on a quarterly basis. And, of course, we also appreciate the fact that members of the media continue to give us support to South African Police Service, of course, informing South Africans out there with regards to the work that we do. And with that, we really want to bring a close to this press conference and hope that you stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks.
No, run home. Oh.